5th session in our Tuesday Talk series. And I hope everybody's been enjoying the balmy weather in November. Balmy November, can you believe it? November is Foundation Month. And so tonight we're going to be celebrating that. And the theme of most of our agenda items are around the foundation. We're going to be hearing from Bob Wallace in a second and introducing our speaker, Brenda Cressey. We're going to be actually giving out a very key district award tonight. And we're going to be hearing about other aspects of the foundation, including the annual fund, polio fund, and grants. And then at the end, we'll be talking about our upcoming Tuesday Talk series in December. So without further ado, Mr. Past District Governor Bob Wallace, I assume you're on here. I heard you talking. There you are.
Yeah, I'm here. I'm here.
Welcome.
Thanks, DG Mark. So it's indeed my pleasure to welcome Brenda Cressey to our Tuesday Talks this month in November, Foundation Month. And so Brenda is currently a Rotary trustee on the Board of Trustees and has been a Rotarian since 1989. Brenda was the first female chair and vice chair of our Rotary Foundation. Before that, she had numerous positions in membership, foundation, training. Brenda was a Future Vision RRFC, the Training Institute moderator, an endowment major gifts advisor, Council on Legislation representative, President's RI President's Rep, 2012 International Assembly Executive Committee member, and partner moderator, district governor, and RI training leader. Brenda is the recipient of Rotary International Service Above Self Award, the Rotary Foundation Citation for Meritorious Service, the Rotary Foundation Distinguished Service Award. And Brenda and her husband Dick are major donors, members of the Paul Harris and Arch Clump Society. With that, welcome, Brenda. Over to you.
Well, thank you, Bob. Thank you so much. And it's so wonderful to be here tonight with all of you. And I really appreciate this invitation this evening. Past President Wolf, it's a joy to see you all the time. And my good friend, Bob Scott. I haven't seen Ann in the background, but I'm sure she's not too far away. And it's really great to be here. So first of all, I want to thank each of you on the call tonight. I can't believe we have so many people on the call. It's wonderful. That means you're not zoomed out yet. That's good. But I want you to know how much I appreciate your incredible and generous support over the years to the foundation, and especially these past few months during the pandemic. But it's always a pleasure for me to have an opportunity to share my passion for what our Rotary really stands for. And to me, our foundation is the lifeblood of the organization. It really allows us to live out Rotary's action plan. The foundation allows us to be effective problem solvers and impactful. Our global reach allows us to inspire, support, and motivate others. Our foundation projects and programs help us remain engaged in the good work of Rotary. And finally, throughout this pandemic, we've learned very quickly to adapt and be flexible. And believe it or not, that is Rotary's action plan. So each of you are making an incredible difference, and I congratulate to each and every one of you who have stepped up this year and helped your club and helped your club president. I have such deep respect for our club presidents this year. They really have taken the ball and run with it. They certainly didn't anticipate having this situation to follow them throughout their whole year this year. But today and tonight, I'd like to just touch on a few updates for our foundation signature initiatives that I thought you might be interested in. And I know we have a busy agenda, so I may be speaking a little bit fast because I have quite a few things to share with you. But today we all face new challenges: the coronavirus pandemic, the economic turmoil, and in some countries, including the US anyway, waves of social unrest. And at this difficult time, the world needs Rotary to help bring people together. And the world needs Rotary to help the most vulnerable. And in the end, Rotarians need each other. We need each other to stay connected and to take action. Take action against COVID-19 and so many other priorities that we're facing in our own communities. But again, I'm so proud of the work Rotarians and Rotaractors and the foundation are carrying out to help stop the spread of COVID-19 and to help those people affected. And I'm equally proud of the fact that your hard work is being recognized. Believe it or not, Rotary was ranked in the top 10 volunteering organizations of 2020 by LinkedIn, which tracks nonprofits with the highest average number of monthly volunteers. So clearly, our mission has never been more important. You know, we took swift action for the cause of public health long before COVID appeared. And because of that experience, we are still making a big difference today. We're finding ways to apply our knowledge and experience in fighting another deadly disease, polio, to COVID-19 response. The polio eradication program is already using the advanced disease eradication infrastructure to provide the vulnerable from COVID-19, especially in polio endemic countries. We recently celebrated the entire African continent to be polio free, leaving now just 2 countries, Pakistan and Afghanistan. Rotary, its partners, and the governments have all come together in unity to get this job done. Many countries have now begun resuming polio immunization campaigns, with every effort taken to ensure that our health workers and volunteers remain safe and do not contribute to the spread of COVID-19. And in the midst of a pandemic, it is really understandable that some attention to polio eradication will be diverted. But this makes it all the more vital for us Rotarians to remain strongly committed to fighting polio and not let that progress erode. So about COVID, we are, of course, people of action, people who create lasting change. And equipped by the resources of the foundation, we can make a difference in thousands of communities throughout the world. Rotarians have initiated several district and global grants for over $21 million that has already supported global grants to fight COVID-19. In addition, last year, many of you know, the trustees temporarily added COVID-19 projects to its list of eligible activities for our new disaster response grant. And although COVID grants are no longer available through this particular grant type, it was only because of your generosity to the foundation and Rotary that approximately $7.8 million in these grants have been dispersed to support COVID-19 response. And if you haven't seen the list of projects that clubs have been doing around the world, you need to go to the website to check it out. It is nothing short of amazing. So in its 100 years plus, our foundation has raised and invested more than $5.3 billion at the end of last June. These funds supported projects and programs that have lasting effects in our communities, and they empower Rotary members to continue promoting peace, fighting disease, providing clean water, saving mothers and children, supporting education, and growing local economies all over the world. And one of the impacts of the coronavirus pandemic is that it shed light on the relationship between environmental degradation and threats to public health. And both boards, Rotary and the trustees, decided to add a new area of focus, supporting the environment. That will offer Rotary members another dedicated channel to increase our positive impact. The new areas of focus for the environment will actually roll out on 1 July 2021. But it's interesting to note that we learned that Rotarians had already implemented $18 million in projects over the last 5 years related to the environment in any of the other 6 areas of focus. So we know that the environment is going to be well received around the Rotary world. This past year, we set an ambitious fundraising goal of $400 million. Rotarians rallied together and helped the foundation surpass that goal and raised over $408 million. Thank you so very much. You are incredible. I mean, when we can see these kinds of numbers come through, even in the midst of a pandemic, in the midst of us not meeting together, we have witnessed so many life-changing projects that you're involved in, and you are making a difference in the world. These funds have boosted our efforts to eradicate polio, train the world's peace builders, support district and global grants, and thanks to Rotarians and friends of our foundation, we awarded 1,350 global grants in 2019 and 20. And grants for polio eradication totaled $151.8 million. Our Rotary Peace Fellow applications have increased to 180% between 2015 and 20, which shows a great interest in the Rotary Peace Centers, which is growing rapidly with 15% increase in qualified candidates. And last year, for the first time ever, our program awards exceeded $300 million, almost $307 million to be honest. But while the growth of our global grants is integral to the scope and impact of our work, it has also resulted in some very difficult decisions for the foundation. The demand for grants has simply outstripped the supply of available World Fund resources. So one of our difficult decisions last year was to no longer match cash contributions for approved global grants. That was a tough one for us to make, but we had no choice. This year, our comprehensive fundraising goal is $410 million. And this includes, of course, our goal of $50 million for polio, which will be matched by the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation 2-to-1. And it will also include $135 million for the annual fund, the endowment, and other funds. The annual fund is especially important this year, and I encourage you each to talk to your fellow Rotarians to make sure that we make gifts to both the annual fund and to polio this year. It's more critical now more than ever. So moving forward, some things will need to change permanently, and at its best, we can all say for sure that Rotary is a crucible for grassroots change. Whether it be Polio Plus or global grants, it takes just that one idea from one member to make a real difference. Each of us wants to show how Rotary opens opportunities through our Rotary service. And your role as a Rotarian and a leader in Rotary gives you one of the best opportunities possible to do just that. So thank you once again for this invitation. Thank you, Bob. And now I'll pass it back to you.
Okay, thank you, Brenda. We've got some time in the agenda right now. If there's any questions that anybody wants to pose through the chat box, Charles, can you kind of monitor that?
Absolutely, Bob. Nothing so far. People are shy tonight.
Okay, well, we can come back to questions. If anybody's got them, put them in the chat box. Charles, have a look for it. So I'm going to call upon Dr. Bob to thank Brenda for coming tonight and speaking to us.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Unmute, I've unmuted. Brenda, I was thinking as you were talking just now, we've attended together very many meetings. Breakfast meetings in the Central Coast of California where there were about 12 people present. international conventions, zones, district conferences, and of course, club meetings. It seems to me that every time I hear you, you're giving the facts straight, not missing the words, and making sure that those of us who are listening know where we're standing and how we stand today. Tonight was no different. You just told us as it is and as it should be. And so I thank you. And on behalf of everybody listening in and attending this meeting, thank you so much for taking the time. Thank you, Brenda.
Thank you, Bob. That means a lot to me. Thank you.
Mary Lou has a question that she would like to know what are the advantages of donating through the Rotary Direct program?
All right. Rotary Direct is like the easiest way to make a gift to the Rotary Foundation because you don't really have to think about it. The only thing that I'd like you to think about is that if your situation gets better, just give a little bit more.
Awesome. Frank from Whitby would like to know how you became a Rotarian.
Wow, that's a really interesting story. I just shared it this afternoon with an interview, and I had 3 clients that came into my office. I was a new business lady in town, and a brand new club was starting. It was back in 1989. And unfortunately, the longtime club in town, they weren't too keen on having women in Rotary. And so like a lot of clubs, some of the gentlemen left and started a new club. But I had these 3 clients come in and they kept asking me to join Rotary. And finally on their 3rd visit, I said, "What is Rotary?" and they began to tell me about Rotary and its mission to eradicate polio. And that brought me back to when I was a little kid, when I lost my next door neighbor to polio. And I thought, well, maybe this Rotary has something in it for me. And I joined. 2 months later, I attended a district conference, and who was speaking? But at the time, it was incoming president of Rotary, Cliff Docterman.
Uh-huh.
And Cliff was sharing how the world of Rotary just raised $240 million when they had a $120 million goal. And I just kept thinking, you know, something is talking to me. And from then on, I've always said that I would do whatever I could to help the world see the end of polio. And I'm so happy that we're almost there.
Awesome. Mary Lou has a very good suggestion. She says you should set an annual calendar reminder to consider increasing your Rotary Direct giving. We do have a question from Joyce Casson. Joyce says, do you have any advice as to how to fundraise in order to help the community? Is there a magic wand we can raise?
I wish. You know, I think with any kind of fundraising, if you believe in the cause, that you can share the story and the reason why you're raising the money. And I think if you really and truly have a passion for what it is that you do, then I won't say it will just happen. It does take a lot of work. But, you know, I think if you can share the story about what it is that we're raising money for, I had an interesting conversation this afternoon, and someone suggested that the Young Rotaract Club go out to all the businesses in the community and ask them, what is it that we can do for you? And the story behind that was, in 2 years, after you do something for these businesses and you go back and say, can you help and support this and that project, they'll remember that you were there to help them. So it's both ways.
Awesome.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome, Joyce.
Frank from Whitby says, your story is awesome. Our gain, he says.
Oh, nice.
Charles, I'd like to switch over to Carolyn Ferguson for a few minutes to give us a message on our local 7070 information. Carolyn.
Hello, everyone. Happy Foundation Month. I know many of you, and for those who don't know me, I'm a Senior Major Gift Officer. I'm a 10-year employee of the Rotary Foundation, and I'm based here in Ontario, Canada. And one of the things that I do on a regular basis is have the pleasure and privilege to work with and meet with some of our Rotary Foundation supporters who are supporting the work we do as major donors and certainly through planned gifts. And so one of the things that I shared recently with past District Governor Bob Wallace in his role as District Foundation Chair is just a little bit of observations recently that I've learned about the tremendous support that comes from your district. So very briefly, I just thought you'd like to know, last year, I'm sure you've already heard that last year was a banner year for your district in terms of their support to the foundation. 980,000 US, over $1 million Canadian dollars in 1 year from your district. I work with 15 districts, and I can tell you that your district almost doubles many of the districts in their contribution to the foundation last year. It truly is remarkable what you've done for the people of the world through your support. And just to frame it a little bit more, last year, your polio fundraising, 180,000 was the most of any district in the entire zone. Your per capita giving was the second highest in our zone and the highest in the eastern part of our zone. Really, these metrics just speak to the tremendous work that you're going to be investing in through your support. You had 40 outright major gifts from your district in the last 4 years. It's untouchable in any other district have I ever seen that. And you have 16 named endowed funds right now in your district. It just means that you have gifts in place from the generosity of members in your district that will continue to give to the mission forever. And that is really, truly remarkable. So all of this is really just to say it is my privilege to share in celebrating with all of you the work that you are enabling through your support. And thank you for everything you're doing.
Thanks, Carolyn. I don't see any other questions have come in while Carolyn was speaking. So I'm going to move on to the next part of our agenda, and I'm going to call on Mary Lou to do a presentation.
Wonderful. Thank you, Bob, very much. Wonderful to see everybody. So tonight we're taking care of some overdue, unfinished, happy business. And it's always good when you have happy business to conduct. And this is the presentation of the 2018-19 Dr. Bob Scott Disease Prevention Award. And it is my very, very great pleasure that we are presenting this award to Chuck Taylor of the Rotary Club of Uxbridge. Chuck is currently our chair of disease prevention and control, and disease prevention and treatment rather. And I'm just looking to, I'm flipping through my screen to see Chuck. I know he's here on the call, and I'm going to talk a little bit about Chuck for sure, but I'm wondering if Chuck, you can hold up your certificate, which was dropped off by Magic Rotary Courier, also known as my husband, yesterday.
There.
Yeah. Yay, there it is. Amazing. So Chuck was nominated for this award by Maureen Bird of the Rotary Club of Toronto, and Maureen is also with us tonight. Maureen is the chair of maternal and child health. To Chuck's chair of disease prevention and treatment. And I would say, if you want to get something done in Rotary, ask these two people. These two people on their own are amazing. In cooperation and in tandem, they're unstoppable. Don't even think about it, you will get hurt. And then the community supporter for this award, she hoped to be able to join us, and she may join us in a little bit, is Heather Johnson. And Heather Johnson is was the CEO of Dignitas International for 2015-2019. And so she worked with Chuck over many years to raise awareness of the projects of Dignitas International and to fundraise an incredible an incredible amount of money. And I want to bring you some comments both from Maureen's nomination letter and from Heather's letter of support, her statement on Chuck Taylor for this award. And we will try to share both of these documents with you all later so you can really read up on the full impact of Chuck Taylor's incredible legacy. He collaborated with Dignitas International for well over 10 years. And he not only raised an incredible amount of money, but more importantly, he brought awareness to an issue that people were not talking about. That issue of equal access to quality healthcare for some of the most vulnerable people in all of Africa, in fact, in all of the world. There is currently, Dignitas International has recently wound up its operations, but if you go to their website, we will provide the link. There's a wonderful 30-minute video that talks about their work. And at one point, someone is quoted saying their work was done in Malawi. If it could work in Malawi, it could work anywhere. And so not only did the amazing programs that were started through Dignitas in Malawi, not only did they impact lives there, but they impacted lives throughout the African continent. And Chuck led Rotary's fundraising and matching efforts on 2 critical global grants that I just quickly want to tell you about them. One of them was called the Living Testimonies, Expanding the Expert Patient Program. The expert patients are people who are living with HIV and AIDS in the community who then go out and in turn support other people living with HIV. It helps deal with stigma, it helps with tracing, it helps with medication adherence, and filling in gaps in a very fragile healthcare system. For this particular project and through Chuck's efforts, $126,823 were raised in a project that came from donations of 14 Rotary clubs and the Rotary Global Grant Mechanism. The second project was called the Young Mothers Club. This project is designed to help young mothers over a period of 18 months, providing teen-friendly services to HIV-positive young mothers and their children. And so an additional $183,952 was raised through that program. And that project involved, hold on, I have it here, involved 9 Rotary clubs, the Government of Canada, and Rotary International through the Global Grant Mechanism. That's over $317,000, if you do the quick math, US dollars, of incredible support. But what I really want you to know is that these were the beginnings of best practice programs that then were expanded beyond Malawi into other African countries. So we will never know the people whose lives were saved, were touched, people who were given hope, people who were inspired to live productive, meaningful, valued lives, knowing that they had value. We will never know the full impact of Chuck's incredible work, but I can tell you that you should think a big number. I think we should all think a big number. And it's the same when we all donate to our Rotary Foundation. We may know that it's going to a project like the Young Mothers Club or like the Expert Patient Program, but we'll never know the names. We'll never know the impact. And even if that's not our project, even if we weren't one of the clubs that put our hand up and said, yeah, Chuck, we'll give you some money. If we donate to our Rotary Foundation, we are still part of this project because money in the Global Grant Fund comes from every single donation. This is also where I really have to hold Chuck up as a shining example. He is a global grants expert. And not only did he get up at truly ungodly hours and drive across our district and other districts and meet up with Heather Johnston and give their amazing presentations, but he showed up at district training seminars and taught everybody else in the district how to use our global grants system. Because it's not always easy and people get confused. And Chuck, he had a great slides, like it's like this, and then you do it like this, and then you do it like this, and then you end up with this really big number. Why aren't you doing this? Call me if you have questions. Chuck was also an integral part of our Rotary AIDS Walk team. And that has been going on for a number of years. And this year we had our first ever virtual walk. It morphed a little bit into the Rotary AIDS and Community Health Walk, but I cannot tell you the number of times Chuck Taylor stood on the boardwalk in Toronto in April, sometimes in the snow, telling people about the partnership between Rotary and Dignitas International. So really, Chuck is an understated, quiet, behind the scenes force for good in the Rotary world, in the world in general. He motivates everyone he meets to be a person of action and a change maker. And more than that, Chuck shows others how to use the tools of our Rotary Foundation. And he tells us all why it's important. He shows us why. It's just why it's important to support that foundation. So Chuck, on behalf of your two nominators, Maureen Bird and Heather Johnston, and of all of our district, and on behalf of those whose names you will never know, thank you. Thank you and congratulations on this well-deserved award. Congratulations.
Well, thank you.
And I believe that Dr. Bob Scott might like to say a few words, so we're going to give him the opportunity to do that.
I'm unmuted. Chuck,
Excellent.
why don't you say something? Come up front, Chuck, will you? I'll stop talking and you say something.
Well, first of all, we both grew a beard. There's something significant there. Mary Lou said I would just have to smile, and it's hard to just smile. I mean, this is a bit overwhelming. It does occur to me, and you said it well, that when I say, can you give me some money, so many people have. That, you know, you throw out the big numbers. First of all, the largest parts of those numbers came from the foundation. But it was so many clubs, and I'll run a few off: Belleville, Cove, Coburg, Whitby Sunrise, the other Whitby, Etobicoke, Toronto, Eglinton, Willowdale, London, Ottawa, and I've missed a few, all put their members' money, the money their members raised into these projects, and it was matched by the district and matched again by the foundation. And I tell people that Rotary allows me to do things I could never do on my own. And it's true. There's no way I could do a fraction of this without the support of everyone and the wonderful match that the foundation provides. So I'm a bit overwhelmed. I mean, I've got a piece of paper here with the name Bob Scott on it. I mean, what could be better than that? And I'm very grateful and thankful.
Thank you, Chuck. You know, when this award was first mooted by past district governor Valerie Wafer, I should say Director Valerie Wafer, I was a bit overwhelmed. I didn't really think my name should go on anything like this. But as it's turned out, I have kind of glad, because if it has, and it seems to have done, brought out of the woodwork stories such as yours, and we've had several over the last few years that are absolutely amazing, and it allows, therefore, the rest of us to know what you've been up to. I know what you've been up to, but most people don't, and so I'm so delighted that this award is continuing, and I know that you're a well-deserving fellow. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Congratulations, Chuck. Well done. I'm going to move on now in the agenda and watching the time here. I'm going to call on Ted Morrison, who is our chair of annual fund for this year. Ted?
Thank you, Bob. I think I'm unmuted now.
You are.
I just want to thank Carolyn Ferguson for giving my speech earlier. I don't have to do much now, but Bob asked me to talk a little bit about the annual fund and what we're doing in Durham, or in the district. You will all remember last year, and Carolyn said it was absolutely amazing. And I want to say how proud I was of all the Rotarians in District 7070. We had this Mill for Bill campaign, a tribute to Bill Patchett, a past district governor and past district foundation chair, great guy. And he had a dream to raise $1 million in our district for the foundation. He never was able to achieve it in his lifetime, but after he died, we said, that's the thing we want to do for Bill. And our Rotarians came through and we raised over $1.38 million in Canadian dollars for the foundation. And I was never so proud of the Rotarians in our district for coming up. Then COVID hits. And we have this problem now that Rotarians aren't meeting. They're meeting online. And so some things in Rotary are being forgotten. And we can't forget the importance, the value of our Rotary Foundation. And some people have not made their donations yet. Our donations last year, as I said, were very, very large. And this year, we're sitting at right now, the amount of money that's gone in is only $62,000. So we have a long way to go. It starts off in early July when presidents are setting their goals for the year. And we encourage them to set goals for the foundation and for polio giving as well. We were much better off this year than we were last year at this time. We have 80% of the clubs that have goals, but that means 20% don't have goals. I'm sure they have goals. They just haven't put it into the Rotary Club Central. And I'll remind you that it's a requirement of Rotary that you do that. So I don't usually do this, but I have a few clubs I would like to name that have not yet put their goals in, with the hope that maybe a member on this call will ask their president, or if they're the president, find out why they haven't put it in yet. Because we've already sent several messages to them. The clubs that haven't put their goals in yet are Curtis, East York, Kleinburg, North York, Port Perry, Scarborough Bluffs, the Beaches, Toronto Bay Bloor, Toronto Earls Court, Toronto Forest Hill, Toronto Sunrise Jim Ludet. Those clubs have yet to put their goals into the foundation. It's an easy job. If they need help, both Bob or I can help you manage that. Other than that, I'll just reiterate what Carolyn says. We are very proud of the Rotarians in District 7070. They always come through. Our district is always 1, 2, or 3 in Canada, not only for the foundation, but for polio. In fact, Carolyn, I think you said we're #1 in polio in Canada. And that's really good news. That was good news when Bill was alive too, because he was very proud of that. So thank you very much, and get those goals in. And if you've already made your donation, as Brenda said earlier, there's nothing wrong with making a second donation. We have Giving Tuesday coming up, not too far away. And we also have the tax man. And all these donations, of course, are tax receivable. So if you get your money in before the end of December, you will get a nice tax rebate on your taxes. Bob, that's all I have to say.
Thanks, Ted. Dr. Bob, can you add a little bit about polio in our particular area? Or have we already covered some of that?
I think we've covered it. I had reports in this week, and as far as polio donations are concerned, we're doing well. And I think we've already got our DDF in of some $30,000. So, I'm happy. And now we only have to get the bug out of Pakistan and Afghanistan. And as mentioned by Brenda, the rounds have started again. Excuse me. So hopefully things are looking good. Pakistan and Afghanistan are still just a terrible problem. And I don't know how it's going to end in the end, but I think guns are going to have to be sort of pointed at people and get them to get out of there, stop shooting vaccinators. But that's a pretty wild thing to say, but it's getting desperate, I think, on the ground.
Thank you, Bob. Thank you so much for all the work you're doing for Rotary. Next, I'd like Lars, can you give us a few minutes on where we are with grants?
Yes, Bob, I will do that. And I would actually also like to add my congratulations to Chuck. He is one of our district's best customers when it comes to DDF requests. But not only that, he and the Experts Club is an interesting example of the journey from just being a club that puts $500 into one project that is led by someone else, or $3,000 into another project. And one day Chuck said that we really want to lead a project, and the rest is history. That was around Dignitas. So thank you for everything you've been doing, Chuck, and the fact that you also are always ready to help and give advice to others. The grants that we talk about are really related to the annual fund. Many of the people on the call are experts, know this much better than I do, but I imagine that there are also some new Rotarians, and maybe we should add a couple of minutes to what is happening to the donations to the annual fund. How do we get the money back that we hand out as grants and use for various activities? Well, the donations to the annual fund is invested for 3 years by the foundation. And the 1st of July every year, half of what was donated 3 years ago is going back to the district as DDF, district designated funds that we use. The other half goes to the World Fund of the foundation, which is where the foundation takes the money that it awards for the global grants. So we put in money into that every year, but we also have an opportunity to get money out of that for the global grants that we do. We can use the DDF not only for the matching club contributions to district and global grants, but as Dr. Bob said, we donate every year to or transfer DDF to the Polio Plus Fund. Rotary encourages clubs to give 20% of new DDF that is coming in. And in our case, it is around 30,000. So yes, we have put the 30,000 this year. So that is. We can also contribute to the Rotary Peace Center, and our district was actually one of the founding fathers, or one can talk about that, and we have contributed, not every year, but now and then with the funds to that too. And then there is an opportunity to donate DDF to other districts if one has too much of it. So every year we get a chunk of money. We got about $145,000 this year on the 1st of July. And how have we used it? How are we using it? Well, the first thing was that based on applications from clubs, we put in a spending plan to the foundation. And that is the district's one and only application each year for money to district grants. So we had around 41 projects that were made by the clubs in our district, and it totaled around $72,500 US. So that was what we asked for, and believe it or not, all the projects were approved by the foundation. 30 or 31 of those projects are COVID-19 projects, the 1,000 per club. So we had that, but there are a number of clubs, 10 clubs, 10 projects that we also funded, COVID projects that we funded with some money that we had left over from last year. So all in all, we have in our district 43 clubs and 2 Rotary clubs that have participated in local COVID-19 projects. So, fast reaction, and one of the good things with that, in addition to the contribution in the community, I think is also making awareness, raising awareness of the foundation and what the foundation can do. In this year's application for district grants, we also have 10 other projects. It's everything from Steve's project in Laos, where we again have, I think, 12, 13 clubs from our district contributing to it. And that is one of the key issues, that we try to encourage cooperation, and the matching formula that we have in our district when it comes to grant money is based on matching and cooperation between clubs. So the more the merrier. We have also used the DDF that we mentioned that we had the 30,000 to Polio Plus, which actually has been transferred. But then we use the remaining funds to match club contributions for global grants. And every year in our district, we have about 10 global grants that we participate in or are active, normally as the international partner. And this has, in a way, become even more important, as Brenda said. This year is, as of July 1st, this year, the foundation, the Rotary Foundation, is not matching club cash contributions. They match DDF dollar for dollar. But the fact that club cash is not matched makes it more important to have DDF in projects. That's the only way to get matching from the foundation. So we have committed around 55,000-60,000 on various projects for matching right now, but I would say that we have another 80,000 of DDF available for projects that are coming up, and I don't think there will be any difficulty in finding projects. I hear a lot of clubs are working on projects, preparing applications and so on and so forth. However, when clubs, two things. When clubs are interested in global grants, please feel free to contact me. People like Chuck knows it better than I do, but I'm happy to share my knowledge there. But the important thing is that you also contact Bob or me, the foundation committee meeting, about the DDF, so we can discuss based on the budget and of the project how much DDF we can contribute from the district, so you know what to plan and so on and so forth. We are happy to do this. I know it's difficult to get everything covered in 5 to 8 minutes, but I'm always available for assisting. So thank you.
Thanks, Lars. That's great. Mary Lou has mentioned that Heather Johnson has joined the call. Heather, can you give us a few minutes on Dignitas and Chuck Taylor?
I sure can. I got lots of time for Chuck Taylor.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I understand that you've already done the presentation to Chuck, and I'm very sorry I missed it. The agenda that I had received, the presentation was at the end, and I had another meeting, so I left that meeting to come on to this to just be present for the presentation. I feel devastated that I missed it, but I was the CEO at Dignitas from 2015 to 2019. And it's hard to express the impact that Chuck had on our organization, but more importantly on the people of Malawi. And I don't know what was presented in the context of the award, but we were running programs at a regional and a national level for Dignitas. Chuck was, these are programs in HIV prevention, but mostly treatment and care of people living with HIV. Chuck raised hundreds of thousands of US dollars through global grants at both grassroots and regional levels. And the last one we had matched by the Government of Canada. I mean, the impact, it's hard to state the impact on that country of the work that he did, and bringing grassroots dollars to national level projects, but also just connecting people. And Chuck visited Malawi many times, and he had a real gift of connecting people and making people care about issues and about people on the other side of the world who were going to die without that care. And so I at running an organization like Dignitas, I mean, I had no better friend than Chuck. And I was hugely honored to work with him. And I think, as I mentioned in the statement that I gave to Mary Lou, he was also very much a mentor for me. Just a second, one sec. He was a mentor to me, and someone I really enjoyed working with. I have huge respect, and I think there's absolutely nobody who deserves this award more than Chuck. So congratulations, Chuck, and I'm really thrilled to be part of this and to be able to speak and to share everything that you gave and you contributed to Dignitas and to the cause of public health and disease prevention. So thank you.
Thank you so much, Heather, for joining it. So with Heather's comments, that kind of brings us to the close of the foundation part of our Tuesday talks. And I'm going to call on Neelam to give us a few minutes on what we're going to look forward to in December Tuesday talks.
Thank you, Bob. I'm really glad to be talking to you tonight. And as Brenda mentioned, Rotary has added a seventh area of focus, the environment. And within the district, I am honored to lead the brand new Environmental Action Committee. And we have been quite busy on a number of fronts. And for Tuesday,
right? To be more into the other stuff. But it's just fun, whatever. We all go out and get Dale to pick us up.
Can you please mute if you're not speaking, please?
So it looks like I've got competition here. So in 4 weeks' time, from exactly 4 weeks' time, and the weather will be much colder, so you will have no excuse but to be attending the call. We have lined up a fabulous speaker, Dr. Elizabeth Bagley, who is a world leader in global environmental. And what will be happening uniquely is that we've also done a survey of environmental activities across the district. And we will be having a sort of a top-down and a bottom-down program for that evening, looking at the major environmental issues and how clubs can actually do practical things. So that's the approach we are taking. And to prepare for that, we had sent out an environmental action survey to clubs across the district. Thank you to all you who sent in your responses. We had a good response. There were a few who have not, and I'm not going to, I don't have the pay grade to name and shame those clubs as Ted did from the foundation, but I will implore those. There is still the opportunity in the next few days. If you have not filled in that survey, and that will really complete the picture for us. So look forward to that. There will be an announcement going on for the December the 8th Tuesday talk. And I'll take half a minute now. Also, we are getting busy calls from district clubs to make presentations on environmental issues. We are doing that. And on November the 26th, there will be another talk on saving one of the largest oldest red oak trees in the Toronto area. So that will be an interesting evening on November the 26th.
Thank you so much, Neelam. We'll look forward to December Tuesday talks. And for the adjournment, I'm going to call upon the best district governor-elect that we have here tonight to adjourn the meeting.
Thank you, past District Governor Bob. On behalf of District Governor Mark Chipman, I want to thank everyone for being here tonight. A very special thank you to our Rotary Trustee, Brenda, for coming to us to bring the message on the foundation and where we are. Very special thanks to Chuck Taylor. I had a pleasure of working with Chuck last year as one of our area focus coordinators. And perhaps a little known secret is that it was Chuck's idea to throw the district designated fund book out the window and figure out a way to give every one of our Rotary clubs and every one of our Rotaract clubs an amount of money to do a community project for COVID. And that in itself was kind of unique, but what was really unique about it, as you heard Lars say, 41 clubs put in a district designated grant request, which I believe is double what we normally get in any year. So when you think of the training that went on in our district to harness that whole big bunch of money that's going to come out a couple of years from now to be able to do that much more good in our local community and the world. Chuck, thank you. Yeah, everybody clap, everybody clap.
Yeah.
So as Neelam said, next Tuesday, December the 8th, 7 p.m. The environment, let's tune in. Make sure you watch for the registration on the district website so that Charles can have you all in the call. And we look forward to talk. Thank you all for being here tonight and dedicating your time to Rotary in your community.
Thanks,
okay.
everyone.
With that, thank you, everyone, and stay safe. Have a good evening, and we'll see you again on Tuesday Talks in December.
Thank you so much, everyone. Good night.
Good night. Thanks, Brenda. Hope to see you soon.
Thank you,
You
Brenda.
bet. We'll look
Night.
forward to it.
Good night,
Good night,
everybody.
Mark.
Good night, Brenda. Thanks,
Good night,
Carolyn.
Elizabeth. Good night, everybody.
Mark,
Yes.
it's Cindy. Hi, I just tried to save the chat for all those comments for Chuck. So if it doesn't save on my laptop, is somebody else saving it?
Just saved.
Great, thanks.
No problem. Well, Charles, we'll probably send that as an email or maybe send that directly to Cindy, the chat.
Sure.
It's
Yeah,
saved
no
on
problem.
our Zoom site.
It may have saved
Yeah.
on my laptop. I don't know. I'm usually hosting.
You can still save it at the bottom of
Yeah.
the chat.
Yeah, I did that, but
Okay.
I'm usually hosting Zoom, not
That's-
being a participant. Thank
So
you.
There's a few Uxbridgers still on. There's Dale, Lisa, how you doing, guys?
We're just
How's that?
basking in the glow of all the Chuck love.
Yes, a lot of Chuck love tonight. A lot of Chuck love.
That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Yes, it was really great.
Yes.
I think we're all bawling our eyes out too.
Yeah.
As well
Good
as
showing
Chuck.
tonight. Good
Yeah.
showing. Hey, Whippy
I think
Sunrise.
Chuck went and left us.
He did.
Oh, darn.
He can only take so much.
Yes.
I'm going to say goodnight, everybody, as well.
Good
Okay, me
night.
too.
See ya. Good night.
Bye.
Whitby Sunrise will be celebrating 25 years with you guys in Uxbridge later on in the spring, I guess, right?
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Because when you were president, it was 20 years.
Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
5 years ago.
Yeah, crazy.
Now,
No,
yeah.
I'll be seeing you in your meeting, Mark, on January 6th.
What meeting's that?
Your Whitby Sunrise. I'm doing my Winnie the Pooh thing.
Oh, fantastic. Fantastic. I actually carry around a paper calendar with me all the times. It's not with me now. So I'm like, what's on January 6th?
Well, it's apparently the Epiphany, but I know nothing about that kind of stuff. But that's the day that they gave me. So
Good. Look forward to it.
yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
All right. Take care, Cindy,
Yeah.
Lisa, Charles,
Bye.
Robert. See ya.
Bye.
Night. Thanks, Charles.
No problem.